Hi guys, sorry to interrupt your viewing, but please subscribe to the channel and like this video. Thank you.
You never really expect the people closest to you, the ones who know your secrets, your heartbreaks, and the full list of your allergies, to be the ones who gut punch you hardest. But I should have seen it coming. Lisa had always been the kind of person who'd smile sweetly while slowly twisting the knife in your back. She wasn't cruel in the obvious way. She didn't throw tantrums or smash things or cheat on her taxes. No, Lisa's brand of cruelty was way more elegant. Subtle. The kind that looked like charm on the outside and rotted like mold underneath. And, for some dumb reason, I thought I was immune to it. Maybe because she was my sister. Maybe because I didn't want to believe she could turn on me like that. But let me tell you something. Blood doesn't mean loyalty. It just means you were born into the same mess. The conversation started over coffee, like most of our so-called sister talks did. It was one of those fake spring mornings where the sun looks warm, but the wind still slices through your coat like a blade. We sat outside this little cafe that charged $10 for toast with avocado and a sprinkle of attitude. Lisa showed up late, as usual, swinging her purse like she owned the damn sidewalk. She was already smiling before she sat down, which should have been my first red flag. Lisa only smiles when she's already decided what she wants. She didn't waste time with pleasantries. So, she said, curling her hands around her overpriced oat milk latte, I was thinking, you know how your wedding dress is just sitting in your closet collecting dust? I blinked. Yeah? Well, she continued, dragging the word out like it was soaked in sugar. I was wondering if I could borrow it. Just for a night. I'm throwing a little backyard thing with Ethan's friends from work. It's kind of a theme party. Weddings and whiskey. You know, super casual, just for laughs. The dress would be perfect. At first, I honestly thought she was joking. I even laughed a little, waiting for the punchline. But then I saw her face. Straight. Expectant. Like she'd just asked to borrow a pair of shoes, not the most expensive, meaningful, and emotionally soaked piece of clothing I owned. I had spent months picking that dress. Not because it was trendy or expensive, but because it felt like me. It was the first time I'd ever looked in a mirror and thought, yeah, I look beautiful. I'm allowed to feel this happy. That dress held more than memories. It held pieces of my identity that had taken years to rebuild after a really bad breakup and then a rougher stretch of loneliness before I met Jake. And here Lisa was, asking to wear it while people played beer pong on folding tables. No, I said, still kind of stunned. Lisa, absolutely not. Her eyebrows jumped like I'd slapped her. Why not? You're not using it. It's just sitting there. It's my wedding dress, I said slowly, like I was explaining gravity to a drunk toddler. It's not a Halloween costume. She rolled her eyes so hard I swear I could hear them click. Oh my God, Rachel, don't be dramatic. It's just a dress. No, I said again, firmer now. It's my dress. And I'm not okay with that. That's when she shifted. The smile vanished. Her mouth tightened, her shoulders stiffened, and something behind her eyes went cold. Wow, she snapped. You are seriously the most selfish person I know. I laughed out loud, but it sounded hollow. Selfish? You're asking to trash my wedding dress at a barbecue, and I'm the selfish one. Forget it, she hissed, standing up so fast her chair scraped the sidewalk. I'll find something else. God forbid I ask my own sister for one damn favor. She stormed off, latte untouched, heels stabbing the pavement like tiny little weapons. I sat there in stunned silence, the bitter taste of disbelief crawling up my throat. I didn't even know what to do. It wasn't the first time Lisa had guilt-tripped me or called me names, but something about that moment felt different. It wasn't just entitlement. It was rage. Like she was mad at me for saying no to something she thought she was entitled to. Like my boundaries were an insult to her ego. I tried to brush it off. Told myself she'd cool down, maybe apologize, maybe not. Lisa had a long history of acting like the world owed her something, and I'd grown used to ducking her drama like it was just part of the weather. I went home, made dinner, kissed my husband on the cheek, folded laundry. The normal routine of being a grown-up who doesn't have time for high school games. But all night long, my mind kept circling back to her face. That look in her eyes when I said no. Like something inside her had snapped. I should have called her. I should have double-checked the closet. But I didn't. I just kept living like nothing was wrong. And that was my mistake. The last moment of calm before the storm that was already brewing behind my back. Because 2 weeks later, I would open my phone and nothing would ever be the same again. It was a Sunday afternoon, the kind where everything feels a little too quiet and your thoughts start making more noise than you'd like. My husband Jake had gone to visit his parents upstate, and I had the house to myself for the first time in weeks. I made a mug of coffee that I never really intended to drink, sat on the couch with my legs tucked under me, and did what every millennial woman pretending to relax eventually does. I opened Instagram and let the scroll take me. One post became another, then another, and before I knew it, I had probably been scrolling for 20 minutes straight, maybe 250 posts later. Don't quote me on the math, I'm not a damn calculator, but you get the point. I was deep in the zone, halfway between zoning out and nosy curiosity, when I saw something that made my thumb freeze in midair. At first, my brain couldn't process it. It was just another backyard party photo, the kind that clogs your feed every summer. Folding tables, plastic cups, that ugly red and white checkered tablecloth that every American household seems to own for no real reason. But right in the middle of all that chaos stood my sister Lisa, arms spread wide, drink in hand, laughing with her head thrown back like she was in a toothpaste commercial, and wearing my wedding dress. Not a copy. Not something that looked kinda like it. No, it was my dress. I recognized the subtle shimmer along the sleeves, the delicate embroidered hem that I had begged the seamstress to extend by just 2 inches. There was a tiny, almost invisible snag in the lace near the waistline where my bracelet had caught during the first dance with Jake. No one else would have seen it, but I did. It was mine, and it was unmistakable. And there she was, wearing it at a backyard barbecue like it was a damn sundress. Somebody had even spilled something, ketchup maybe, right down the front. One of her friends had their greasy hand on her waist. Another was filming her doing some kind of mock runway strut in the grass, stumbling over the train like a drunk prom queen. I could see hot dogs on the grill behind her. Someone had decorated a chain-link fence with dollar store streamers. And over the video, someone had added a filter with fake fireworks and the caption, "Barbecue Bride Energy," followed by a bunch of hashtags that made me want to throw my phone through a window. I didn't even realize I was holding my breath until I finally let it out through clenched teeth. I sat there staring, my heart pounding in my ears like I'd just been slapped. There was this kind of surreal delay, like my brain was buffering what I was seeing, trying to catch up. My hands were shaking, and I scrolled back up just to make sure I hadn't imagined it. But there she was, again and again. 3 posts, 4 stories, even a goddamn reel with music edited in. Lisa had turned my wedding dress into her party outfit, her prop, her joke. And the worst part? She was proud of it. I called her. No answer. I texted. Tell me that dress was a replica. Tell me you didn't go into my house. No reply. I messaged her again, this time with a screenshot. Still nothing. The silence was louder than any insult she could have thrown at me. That's when it clicked she had planned this. She didn't just take it out of impulse. She'd waited until she knew I'd be distracted, alone, not expecting it. She must have gotten the spare key we kept hidden under the porch flower pot. I had never moved it because I trusted that only family knew about it, and Lisa was family. I started pacing the living room like a caged animal. I couldn't sit still, couldn't think straight, couldn't believe the level of betrayal. It wasn't about the fabric, it was about everything that dress represented. The months of choosing it. The day I wore it, walking toward the man I loved. The photos, the memories, the feeling of finally being seen. And she wore it to get likes on Instagram while double-fisting White Claws in someone's backyard? I felt something boil inside me. It wasn't just anger. It was humiliation. It was this deep, bitter sense of being disrespected, not just by her but by everyone watching, everyone laughing in the comments, treating it like a joke. And it hit me harder than I expected. Lisa didn't care. She didn't care about me, or my boundaries, or what that dress meant. She just wanted attention. She saw something beautiful, something meaningful, and instead of honoring it, she smeared mustard on it and made it her centerpiece for the night. I didn't want to fight. I wanted accountability. So I did something I'd never done before, not with her, not with anyone in my family. I called the cops. And I told them everything. I explained that the dress had been stolen, that I hadn't given permission, that I had reason to believe she'd entered my home without consent. I had screenshots. I had timestamps. I had proof that she'd taken something deeply personal and dragged it through the dirt. And I told them I'd like to press charges if they could confirm she still had the dress in her possession. The officer on the phone wasn't rude, but he wasn't warm either. He asked, "Are you absolutely sure this wasn't a misunderstanding?" And I laughed, a cold, bitter laugh that I didn't recognize coming from my own mouth. "Yeah," I said, "I'm sure." She knew exactly what she was doing. An hour later, I was in my car, driving toward her apartment with 2 officers following behind in a separate vehicle. My hands gripped the steering wheel tighter than necessary. My chest was tight, but my jaw was tighter. I pulled up to her building, and for a split second, I thought about turning around. I thought about letting it go. But then I remembered the catch-up. The laughter. The mockery. The sheer gall of her to do this and pretend it was harmless. When she opened the door and saw me standing there with 2 uniformed officers right behind me, her jaw actually dropped. Not metaphorically. Not in that casual, oh my god way. No, I mean it physically dropped. For once, Lisa had nothing to say. And that, my friends, was the most satisfying silence I had ever heard in my life. Lisa's front door swung open with that sudden kind of drama you usually only see in courtroom TV shows or bad romantic comedies, but this wasn't either. It was something far messier. She was barefoot, wearing leggings and an oversized sweatshirt with her hair twisted up into one of those slapdash buns that screamed, "I didn't think anyone would see me today," but her face told another story entirely. She looked like someone who'd just been caught mid-heist, wide-eyed, mouth hanging open, trying to figure out whether to play dumb or start running. I stepped aside to let the 2 officers handle the talking because honestly, I didn't trust myself to say anything that wouldn't turn into screaming. The blood was pounding in my ears like a war drum. "Miss Langston," the officer asked, his voice as flat and professional as a sheet of drywall. "We're here regarding a reported theft of personal property. Do you mind if we ask you a few questions?" Lisa blinked rapidly, the fake smile forming almost instantly like it had been waiting backstage for its cue. "Oh, wow, okay, This is probably a misunderstanding," she said, already stepping back like she was going to disappear into the shadows of her own apartment. "Is this about the dress thing? Seriously? Rachel, come on. You brought the police over a dress." I didn't answer. I didn't even blink. I just stared straight ahead, hands at my sides, letting her hang herself with every word. The officers were calm, measured. They asked if she had the dress in her possession, and her entire body stiffened like someone had just flipped a switch inside her spine. "I mean, maybe," she said, voice warbling like she couldn't decide whether to lie or spin. "Look, I thought we talked about this. Rachel said I couldn't borrow it, and yeah, maybe I overstepped a little, but come on, it's not like I stole a car." That's when I saw it, that flicker in her eye, that twitch in her jaw. She was about to pivot. Not apologize, not explain. Just pivot hard into victim mode, which was classic Lisa. When she couldn't win, she made herself the injured party and hoped the guilt would do the rest. "Do you guys really have nothing better to do?" she snapped suddenly, her voice rising an octave. "There are actual crimes happening out there, and you're here because my sister's mad I wore her dusty little wedding dress to a party? Jesus, this is so typical of her. She's been jealous of me since we were kids, and now she's trying to ruin my life over a piece of fabric. One of the officers raised an eyebrow and glanced at me. Miss Langston, would you mind showing us where the dress is? Lisa folded her arms like a child who's just been told recess is cancelled. Fine. Whatever. She turned and stomped down the hallway like she was doing us all a favor. A moment later, she returned with the dress balled up in her arms like it was a kitchen towel, not a one-of-a-kind lace and satin gown that once meant everything to me. It was wrinkled, smudged, still smelling like smoke and cheap wine even from 6 feet away. She dumped it into a laundry basket by the door and muttered something under her breath about drama queens. I stepped forward then, still calm, still quiet. I looked at the dress and then I looked at her. You broke into my house, Lisa. You violated my trust, then laughed about it online like it was a joke. Her nostrils flared. It was a joke, Rachel. Get over yourself. The officer turned to me. Would you like to press charges for theft and unlawful entry? For a second, I hesitated, not because I wasn't sure, but because some part of me, that stupid little remnant of childhood sibling loyalty, was still whispering, she's your sister. But then I remembered the catch-up, the comments, the smugness in her eyes when she thought I'd never find out. And just like that, the answer felt easy. Yes, I said. I'd like to press charges. Lisa exploded. Are you out of your mind? Over this? You're going to try and ruin me over a dress you weren't even using. I didn't say another word. The officers explained the next steps, paperwork, court dates, the possibility of mediation, and she just stood there, practically vibrating with rage, accusing me of being cruel, vindictive, heartless. She said I was acting like a psycho ex-wife, whatever that meant, and screamed after me as I walked back to my car. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. It was only later that night, after the adrenaline had worn off and my living room felt way too quiet, that my phone buzzed with a DM from someone I hadn't expected. Ethan, Lisa's boyfriend. We'd only ever exchanged polite hellos at family gatherings, and he always seemed like the type who stayed out of drama if he could help it. His message was short. No greeting. No context. You should probably see this video. I stared at the screen, pulse thudding in my throat. Something about his tone felt different, not accusatory, not smug, just cautious. Like he knew exactly what he was about to hand me, and he wasn't sure how I'd take it. I tapped the link and took a deep breath, not knowing that everything I thought I knew about Lisa, about the dress, about the real reason she took it, was about to unravel completely. The house was too quiet again, but this time, it wasn't peaceful. It was the kind of silence that grows heavy on your skin, like humidity before a storm, pressing down on you until you're forced to move, to speak, to do something before it swallows you whole. I stared at the screen on my phone for a full minute before pressing play, my thumb hovering like I was holding a detonator instead of a cheap piece of plastic. Ethan hadn't sent a message before or after, just that one cryptic line and a video link that was only accessible with a private password. Whatever it was, he didn't want this out in the open, which told me everything I needed to know before a single frame even rolled. The video began with a shaky camera angle, the kind people film when they think they're being clever, all secretive and casual. I recognized Lisa's backyard immediately, the rickety wooden fence with the peeling white paint, the overgrown azaleas in the corner, the lawn that looked like it hadn't seen a mower in months. There were red Solo cups scattered like confetti, someone blasting 90s throwback music from a Bluetooth speaker, and then there she was, my sister, in my wedding dress, barefoot, holding a hard seltzer in one hand and a vape pen in the other, like she was some kind of chaotic Pinterest bride gone feral. Okay, she slurred, half laughing as she stumbled toward the camera. Everyone shut up for a second. This is so good. Someone off-screen snorted, clearly tipsy. Are you still wearing your sister's dress? That's insane. Lisa grinned wide and spun in a crooked circle, lifting the hem of the dress like she was twirling in a movie montage. I know, right? Rachel would literally have a stroke if she saw this. She's such a control freak. Like, I asked to borrow it, and she acted like I asked to borrow her kidney or her firstborn or something. There were more laughs in the background, but it wasn't just playful anymore. It was mean, mocking, the kind of laughter that isn't really about a joke, but about enjoying someone else's discomfort. Lisa kept going, her words slurring together just enough to sting. She's such a drama queen. You remember how she cried for 3 hours when that cat scratched her wedding heels? I swear to God, she's got a stick so far up her ass, she probably needs a chiropractor just to blink. Someone cackled loud enough to shake the mic, and the camera panned toward the group sitting around a fire pit. One of Lisa's friends was wearing a plastic tiara, holding a sausage on a stick, saying, "Let's do a fake bouquet toss. Lisa can throw it at the fence and curse her sister's name." Lisa laughed so hard she doubled over, holding her stomach, nearly falling out of my dress. Then she stood up straight, gave a mock-serious look into the camera and said, "Rachel, if you're watching this, lighten up. It's just a stupid dress. No one's gonna remember you in it anyway." That's when something in me shifted, in a way that felt so sudden and final that I swear I physically felt it in my chest. Not a break. Not a snap. It was more like a door quietly closing inside me and locking from the inside. I wasn't hurt anymore. I was done. The betrayal had passed through me, scorched everything clean, and now all I had left was clarity. I wasn't going to cry over her. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't even going to call her. I was going to burn her down. And not with drama, not with some impulsive tantrum that she could turn into more fuel for her victim complex. No, this was going to be precise. Clean. Ruthless in its elegance. Because if Lisa thought she had embarrassed me publicly, she had no idea what public humiliation really looked like. She thought likes and hashtags were power. I'd show her what real exposure felt like. I wasn't the one who wore a wedding dress like a joke. I wasn't the one who turned my sister into a punchline at a backyard beer fest. She made me into the villain. Fine. I'd wear it better than she ever wore that dress. I opened my laptop and started typing, fast and focused, like my fingers already knew what needed to be done before I consciously did. I dug through my old emails, found the contact for the boutique owner who'd helped me design the dress. I pulled up every photo and video from my wedding, especially the ones that showed the custom embroidery and signature marks on the fabric. I wrote a detailed summary of what had happened, attached the screenshots, and yes, the video. But not just to the police this time. I sent it to the bridal boutique's social media manager, their head of marketing, their PR rep, and their brand ambassador. I attached a note about unauthorized use of a custom design in a publicly monetized social video. I knew Lisa had started tagging sponsors in her posts, trying to become one of those micro-influencers who thinks free lip gloss and discount gym leggings make them untouchable. Let's just say, bridal brands don't like being dragged into that kind of nonsense. But I wasn't done. I went deeper. I found Lisa's TikTok. I found the reels she'd posted. I flagged everyone that showed the dress, added comments with timestamps, links, and evidence that it was stolen property. I submitted reports through every platform's copyright form. And the best part? I didn't even need to lie. Everything I said was true. She'd broken into my home, stolen an item that wasn't hers, filmed herself mocking me, and turned it into monetized content. By midnight, 2 of the videos were already taken down. By morning, she'd lost her sponsored partnership with a subscription box company that had just reposted one of her clips the day before. I knew because they emailed me back and apologized, saying they were deeply sorry for promoting content tied to a personal violation. And still, I wasn't satisfied. Because now it wasn't about justice. Now it was about precision. If she wanted attention, I was going to give it to her in a form she couldn't control. And I knew exactly how I'd do it. Something public. Something permanent. Something she couldn't laugh off. The wheels were already turning. And the best part? She had no idea what was coming. Hashtag episode 5. The bride wore payback. There's a moment, right before revenge becomes real, when everything slows down. Your heartbeat steadies, your hands stop trembling, and for once, your mind is crystal clear. It's not anger anymore, it's purpose. It's strategy. It's knowing that whatever comes next won't be an accident, and that you're not just reacting anymore, you're choosing. That's the space I entered after I saw that video of Lisa laughing at me in my wedding dress. I didn't scream, I didn't cry, and I didn't fall into one of those dramatic breakdowns she probably hoped for. Instead, I leaned into the part of me that she never understood, the patient part, the calculating part, the part that didn't need chaos to win. Lisa wanted to humiliate me publicly, so it was only fair that she learned what public humiliation really felt like. The thing she'd always chased, likes, followers, viral moments, attention, was the exact thing I was going to use to destroy her. The plan took a few days to build, not because it was complicated, but because I wanted it to be perfect. The key was understanding her vanity. Lisa didn't just post for fun. She didn't just share her life, she manufactured it. Every latte, every candid photo in a mirror, every workout video in matching activewear was curated to make her look like the girl who had it all. And she wasn't even that big of a deal online, maybe 15,000 followers, give or take, but in her mind, that made her an influencer. And the thing about influencers is, they need validation the way normal people need oxygen. So I crafted a lie. A perfect, polished, seductive lie. I created a fake company, a minimalist luxury skincare brand with a ridiculous name like Lumia that sounded expensive but didn't actually mean anything. I built a fake website, filled with stock photos, a fake about us section, and even fake testimonials. I used a burner email and reached out to Lisa's business inquiries account, offering her a paid collaboration for a new online self-love campaign. It wasn't even hard. All I had to do was say she'd get free product, a $200 payment, and exposure to a curated luxury audience, and she was hooked in minutes. The campaign, I said, was called Redemption, and it was all about turning public mistakes into personal growth. We asked her to film a sincere video apologizing for any recent controversies, showing vulnerability, and encouraging others to own up to their past behavior. I even wrote the script for her. Lisa didn't just agree, she was excited. She said she was so ready to reframe the narrative, and that she was grateful for the opportunity to show people the real me. And then she posted it. In a video filmed from her car, hair curled, lashes done, voice trembling in just the right places, Lisa looked into the camera and said, "I know I've made some choices recently that didn't reflect the best version of myself. I want to sincerely apologize to anyone I may have hurt, especially my sister, who deserved better." I was caught up in the moment, and I realize now how selfish and insensitive I was. This dress meant so much to her, and I treated it like a prop. I thought it was funny, but it wasn't. It was hurtful. She even added a line I never expected. "Rachel, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. Genuinely. I miss us. And I hope someday you can forgive me." And for a second, just one tiny second, I felt something flicker. Not guilt, not regret. Just the sting of memory. That she had once been someone I trusted. That we'd grown up playing dress-up together in Mom's closet. That before all the bitterness, before the rivalry, before social media turned everything into a competition, we had been sisters in a way that wasn't poisoned. But that second passed quickly, because in the comments, everything unraveled fast. People weren't reacting with sympathy. They were reacting with asterisk rage. Asterisk someone had already leaked the video of the barbecue, probably one of her so-called friends, and now Lisa's teary apology looked like nothing but damage control. The internet turned hard. Comments flooded in, calling her manipulative, fake, attention-hungry. Screenshots of her mocking me were being reposted with side-by-sides of her crying face. People stitched her apology video with clips of her laughing in the dress. Someone even made a meme out of it. She was trending on Twitter, under the tag #BarbecueBride. Lisa went viral for all the wrong reasons, and I watched it all unfold from my kitchen, sipping wine, the dress folded neatly beside me in a dry cleaning bag I hadn't bothered to open yet. Justice had turned to satisfaction. Satisfaction had turned to something else. Something darker. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel cleansed. I felt empty, but also powerful. Jake came home that night and found me sitting on the floor, scrolling through comments. He leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching me in silence for a while before finally saying, "This isn't about a dress anymore, is it?" I didn't look up right away. I just stared at the screen, watching my sister's carefully crafted image collapse like a house of cards. "No," I said finally, still staring at the mess I'd made. "It never was." He didn't say anything else. He just walked away, slowly, like he didn't quite recognize me in that moment. Maybe I didn't recognize myself either. A week later, Lisa went offline. Deleted all her socials. Stopped answering texts. I haven't seen her since. Part of me wonders if she's plotting her own revenge now, if this war we started will just keep going, back and forth, until there's nothing left of either of us. Or maybe she's done. Maybe I broke her in the same way she broke me. I don't know. And maybe I don't want to. The truth is, I'm not sure who the villain is anymore. Lisa crossed a line, but so did I. And maybe that's the thing no one wants to admit about revenge. Once you start keeping score, nobody really wins. I still have the dress. Still folded. Still spotless, on the outside, anyway.